5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, good day, goodbye, hello. Trying to feel the sunshine again. It's the only one that I've not sweated in, and I need to wash all my others. It's bloody hot out there, isn't it? Wherever you are in the world, one of those will apply to you. Thank you for joining us live on YouTube, if that is how you are watching. Do join in the chat. You will see it comes up at the bottom there. If you're watching on catch-up, add your descriptions below. Add your comments below, I should say. And if you're listening via your favourite podcast platform, thank you very much. Special guest tonight for the back pages is Locks. And I'm going to my first question to him is: does he think Victor Christensen's a better player than Luke Thomas? Might just slip that one in at some point. You never know. You never know. But yeah, this is a roundup of the week's news. I think one or two things have happened at the club this week. But hi, Clibo as well. He is in. Let's get on with this and let's talk Leicester. Good evening, Locks. How the devil are you, sir?
All good, mate. All good. Happy to be here once again, mate.
Thank you for coming on. There's been one or two things happening this week, isn't there? As you can see. So we'll have a few things to talk about. But go on then. Victor Christensen or Luke Thomas?
What's the question?
Who's the better one?
Who's the better player? Victor Christensen. But Luke Thomas, he had a better, better performances from Victor in Luke Thomas. That's for sure. But I really don't think Luke Thomas is a good footballer, to be honest with you, mate. So, but there is no doubting that last part of the season, Luke Thomas, his levels were much higher than Victor's. So, yeah.
I think you're trying to get in there with Duck's mum.
Well. Apparently, according to Manny, she is hot. So yes. Who knows?
The question is, though, of course, how did he see her?
But no, genuinely, that is my opinion. Though I think I don't think Thomas is good enough. I think Victor could be. I think Victor Christensen's ceiling is higher. He could improve. I think when Victor's at his best, he's better than Thomas, but it's just very rare we see that. So, yeah.
But as you said there, it's all about opinions, isn't it?
Exactly. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And you're not coming live from Turkey this evening, so fingers crossed we'll be all right. We won't fall out.
Yeah, I've not had any alcohol, so I'm all right, mate. I'm on the water.
Well, aren't we all on sort of soft drinks and what have you? Right, Let's get into this then. No surprise where we're going to start off with. Finally, it was announced, probably the worst kept secret in football at the moment. Were you surprised when it was him?
Not this week. no, because we kind of knew for a few days that it was going to be him. But yeah, definitely when the news first broke, because I think it was Dorset, and Dorset had said 4 hours earlier that Gary O'Neill was leading the race. And we went live. I know you were live as well, but we went live with a stream about Gary O'Neill. I think you were as well. And thankfully, it was a news video. It wasn't all centered around O'Neill. So when Rob Dorset's tweet dropped bang on 7 o'clock as we went live, I quickly went in and changed the name of the stream to Cifuentes. However, yeah, I was a little bit surprised. I mean, I know that there was like a few murmurs of him last year when Enzo left. Very, very, very light links. So clearly the board were aware of him. But if they wanted to return to what Enzo Maresca had done for Leicester in terms of the style of play, the type of appointment, then I think Martí Cifuentes is the one that made the most sense out of all the managers out there. He was cheap, as we know, cheaper than Danny Röhl would have been. He's got a little bit of experience in the Championship, so he comes from that Johan Cruyff Institute. So there's a lot of positives for him. There is a couple negatives in terms of when you look at last season, they didn't really progress. There was no consistent, progress. I don't think with QPR under Martí Cifuentes. It kind of petered off a little bit, and then they were inconsistent. But I don't think that should be, looked at too much. To be honest with you, he is going to have a much better squad at Leicester City, and that means he will be able to play in this league. He'll be able to play his football. They'll be capable of playing it in the Premier League. Who knows? But for now, it's fine. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think when you look at what he did in that first season at QPR, they were dead and buried. They were relegated. And I know we made hard work against it when we actually beat them in the first game, but they were gone. And the turnaround he did in that one season was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, very similar to what Danny Röhl did. Very, very similar to what Danny Röhl did. In fact, I think you've probably, you've spoken to a lot of Leicester fans, as have I, and a lot of people I've spoken to have said, "Oh, Marty and Danny Röhl, I can't really choose between them on who I'd rather want." And so it's a coin toss for a lot of fans. But yeah, he did a very similar job. He came in, they looked like they were going to go down. They looked dead and buried, as you say. The confidence was on the floor. Playing really, I won't say bad football because some people like it. Some people like the more direct football. So I won't call it bad, but old school football, direct football, that's what they were playing. And Marty came in, although he didn't have them playing like Leicester under Enzo, they were definitely playing a lot more of a modern style with some directness thrown in there. And he got them up. He got them out of the relegation zone. He smacks Leeds 4-0, which any manager that does that there's a tick in my book.
Exactly.
And as I said, they didn't really progress too much from there. But I think it's the amount of investment was limited. He didn't have too much control over the recruitment they did bring in, from what I've read, and his hands were tied. So hopefully he has more resources at Leicester. Well, the playing squad, definitely he has better resources. But with regards to recruitment, if we do sell a couple players, hopefully he then can have a big say in who comes in. And it's weird I'm saying that, Chris, because I slagged the club off for this 12 months ago, giving Cooper too much say. But, that's my, that's just the way I see it. I would trust Marty and the type of manager he is. I would trust him more with a say on recruitment than somebody like Steve Cooper.
You would, I agree. I think the thing with the Steve Cooper was that he didn't want to go down the road of playing youngsters because he didn't want us to sort of blame that on us getting relegated. So that's why he went out and bought what he would call experienced, what I would probably call past it, players. And, look, Ipswich went for the one way, we went the other way, and we both went down. So I don't think it would have made any difference. But we got
more points. We had more points.
We did.
Look
Yeah,
at
there is
yeah.
that. Well, maybe that's a saving grace for Steve Cooper then.
Well, it made them £3 million, mate. Leicester. I think the difference between 19th and 18th was £3 million. So
Yes.
it was worth finishing 18th. That's paid for Woyo Koulibaly. There you
I
go.
was about to say the same thing. Yes, if only Rude had remembered where we'd left him.
Exactly.
we might have seen something. Xavier Calm coming in as his number 2. I think when a manager's had success in whatever form, you need to sort of keep the number 2 together. I mean, I always look back at Brian Clough without Peter Taylor, and Nigel Pearson without Shaky, God bless him. And they were never the same as when, they were together. So I think keeping hold of Xavier Calm is a good move.
Yeah, and we saw the chaos that ensued after Rude came in with no staff, right? He was left with the leftovers of Cooper. There may have been a bit of resentment as well because it was Cooper's man, and a new man's there suddenly in his job, and so that's never good. But you need, look, you've got somebody now in Xavi Calm who is he knows Marty. They've worked together for a while. They're on the same wavelength, and I think it's the right choice to do that. You have to back the manager, and taking out player recruitment out of it, staff recruitment, off the bat is important. And they've brought this guy in with him, he seems like a very nice guy. I mean, he's already on Twitter. The pair of them are, which I think is just more the modern day manager. Although Enzo Maresca, I don't think was on it. But Marty's on it. His assistant's on it. Putting tweets out to the fans and stuff. So it's positive. I would have hated, of him to come in without anybody. So he's now got two. There's two good things here, really. He's got his own man coming in who knows exactly what way he wants the team to play, but he's also got the guy already at the club in Andy King, who there you go, who knows the club, probably better than anybody at the club right now. He must be. Maybe John Rodkin, right? John Rodkin knows the club pretty well, but we won't mention his name. But Andy King, he knows the club well. He knows the squad well, Chris. And what I said earlier today on the stream is that Andy King joined the first team coaching staff in like January or February, whenever it was. But it wasn't announced, but he was actually with the under-21s from the start of the season. Yeah. So he was working with Monga, Aluko, Page, Evans from the start of the year, from the start of the season. And he's now come up alongside these players. So he will have great knowledge on these youngsters as well. And that's going to help Marty out. Indeed.
And it was great because despite Luke linking me with every manager going, I was never in favour of Andy King getting the job now. But I do want him to maybe be the next one or the one after and start like Liverpool used to do with the boot room. It's like when Claudio took over, we still had Craig Shakespeare. And Craig Shakespeare was that link between the players and the gaffer that's come in, And, when they do come in, and I mean, I know with Steve Cooper, he had to sort of start from scratch because Enzo took all his staff with him. But to have that link there, in somebody like Andy King, he's done a good job. Well, he's stood in well. He's got a couple of wins under his belt with the pre-seasons, although that never want to do a 4x45 watch along again. So I'm pleased he's there, and I think he could end up, and I would not be upset if he was the next manager. Do you think? I mean, somebody's just said that Cifuentes has now left. Not Cifuentes, sorry. Röhl has now left.
I hope Cifuentes hasn't left.
He didn't like to stay long. He likes to move around, Let's just have a look at who it was that said that. Paul said, Röhl has a bit of a problem now hearing he's left Wednesday and everyone here has a manager. I thought he was going back, but...
He went back and it seemed like he was going back because it looks like the club was going to be taken over. However, that's fallen through, and I think he's basically don't want to be there again because the takeover isn't happening now, or it's stalled. I don't think he's officially left. I don't think that's happened, Paul. But there has been talk over the last couple of days online about that he's not happy. The players aren't really too happy with him because he went AWOL for a few months.
Yeah.
Chansiri, of course, won't be happy. But the thing is, mate, Chansiri's he's a bozo, right? Because he could have got £1 million off Leicester City, this time last week. But instead, he's played hardball. The compensation was an issue, and we've gone down a different route. So if he does leave, I think he'll probably take some time out. I don't think there's any jobs there, and then maybe he'll take a job in the future. But
there wasn't like loads and loads of offers out there, was there, for him? But I found it interesting because apparently Chansiri had given the manager's job to Röhl's assistant, and he'd signed a new contract and was told he was the manager. And then the guy whose job he took came back. I mean, what a cock-up. I mean, we think our club was run badly, guys, but come on, Sheffield Wednesday, it's a circus of a club, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a shambles. It is a shambles. To be fair, like, they probably expected him to leave because it seemed to the whole world that he was going to leave. The Leicester thing never happened, and any German teams they didn't want him. So he's had to go back with his tail between the legs, it seems, unless he walks away. But he won't want to walk away. He'll want a little bit of a payoff, won't he? So it wouldn't surprise me, Chris, if he's gone back and he's been difficult and he's been a pain in the arse trying to get them to sack him so he gets a payoff. That wouldn't surprise me either.
Do you sit there now and think, if only we'd waited? If only we'd waited. Do you regret getting Cifuentes, and holding out for Röhl? I know you were a big Röhl fan, and I get that. I totally get that. But, it's a little bit of you that's thinking, oh, God, why couldn't this have happened a week ago?
In hindsight, no. I honestly, I don't think so. The more I've researched Marty, the more I've read about Marty, the more I've spoken to people about Marty, I'm happy with this now, and I probably prefer it to the Röhl option. I was definitely, fully in favour of Röhl, but I don't know about you, Chris, because I saw you talking about like Edin Terzic as well, and a couple other managers at the time. I'm kind of a realist in the sense that I'll only in my head pick between the managers that are linked, right? So Marty wasn't linked, so I didn't even think about him.
No.
I thought, right, out of all these names that are a bag of shit, I want Danny Röhl. And Marty came up, and initially, I did still want Röhl. But like I said, the more I've read about Marty Cifuentes and watched bits as well about the style of play and things like that, and Nil's analysis, and I think we've actually got away lucky here, and we've got a good one. So
I would agree. And look, with Edin Terzic, I knew we wouldn't get him, and I said from the start. I said, if we could get somebody that was somebody we could have at least gone for, I think we could have gone for him if we'd wanted him. Whether he would come or not is another matter. But look, this guy that we've got in here, he wants to come to the club. And I'll tell you something, everybody's been going out and saying, oh, he's desperate and he's cheap and, he's having to pay, all that. I'm sorry, because I honestly think that, whether he will actually pay that 250 grand or not, the club can't afford 250 grand. We're in worse trouble than we probably think we are. But, and I say this about Ian Holloway, whether you say he was a good manager or a bad manager, and he did get Blackpool to the Premier League after us, let's not forget that, he wanted to come here as well, and there's a hell of a lot to be said for that, isn't there?
To a certain degree, I agree with what you've said. Like, so people say it's about Luke Thomas. Let's take it back to Luke Thomas a sec. They say, oh, he tries hard. He wants to be here. And I'm like, well, yes, but he's crap. He's crap. With Marty, I think it's different. I think he is a very good manager. But, and on top of that, he seemed desperate to come here. But we've got a man now, right, who I think is a great manager. bags of potential as well as a coach. He's 43. Even he'll in 10 years' time he'll be a completely different manager. You'd have thought, just like Enzo. Enzo's, I think, improved and adapted in 2 years since he came to Leicester. I think he's adapted quite a lot, and it'll be the same with this guy. Same with any coach, really. They do adapt. Even Sean Dyche changes things every now and then. So I think. I think it's harsh and unfair for people to say, well, we've only got him because he's cheap or because he's desperate. I don't think that's the case. I think there's other managers out there that we could have also got who were cheap and would have been desperate to sign for Leicester, but we didn't go down that route. Ruud van Nistelrooy, let's talk about him for a second. Every single interview from day one, he sounded like he couldn't be asked. Maybe that's just his personality. Maybe that's just the way he speaks. Can't help that. But he didn't seem interested from minute one. His first ever interview, you can go on Twitter, you can go back to whatever of November it was, watch him, and he doesn't sound interested. Whereas this guy, everything I've seen already, him on the coaching pitch, the video on the training pitch, coaching, the videos that the club have put out over the last couple of days, he looks full of enthusiasm. Tell me when you saw a video of Ruud van Nistelrooy on the pitch conducting things. You didn't. And we actually had an article from John Percy saying it. John Percy said he does not lead training. Brian Barry Murphy led the training. So we know Enzo was out on the pitch because Enzo has a vision. Marty will have a vision of how he wants his team to play. He needs to make sure he is there, making sure all the players are doing the right thing, developing, as they should be. There was none of that with Ruud van Nistelrooy. That's just his management style. But for me, it's a load of piss. It's crap. Yeah. It's a crap management style.
I saw a video of Marty managing QPR the other day when QPR scored. And he was off like Jose Mourinho, down the side of the foot celebrating. I mean, it comes to something when you look at Brendan Rodgers and say he was more active on the sideline than Ruud van Nistelrooy was. So
I was just going to say as well, mate, and people like brush this off sometimes as just it doesn't mean anything, right? But we always talk about how Marty didn't have a football career. He didn't have a playing career, right? He played for a couple semi-professional teams. That was it. Yeah. That does make a difference, right? And let me tell you why. Because this guy has never been at the top of football. So how Ruud van Nistelrooy... So what I'm trying to say here is Ruud van Nistelrooy won a lot, played for Man United, played for Real Madrid, all of this stuff. Managing Leicester isn't a high for him. It's a low. It's a low. I'm sorry, it's a low for him. Yeah. Marty, right now, this is the biggest job Marty Cifuentes has ever had. He wants to succeed. His whole career, his livelihood depends on him succeeding at Leicester. If it goes poorly, God knows where he ends up. Probably a lower end championship team, maybe League One. You just don't know, right? Everything, his whole career is lying on this. Whereas Ruud van Nistelrooy, mate, do you think he gives a shit he was sacked? Does he heck? He don't care at all, mate. He don't.
To me, I always said that when we were trying to get Graham Potter, that was like, a guy asking a girl out and the girl kept saying no. But he went back and asked her again and she said no. And so he went back a third time and asked her and she said no. And at some point, he finally maybe got the message. With Ruud van Nistelrooy, it's a bit like a guy going and asking a girl out. He's punching way above his weight, probably, but that girl is probably just going out with him for sympathy. Not really interested. And that's how I saw Ruud van Nistelrooy. But are you worried? Because we've given this guy a 3-year contract. What happens if it comes up to a year and he's poached? Will we have made a mistake? I'm joking.
You better be.
I know which buttons to press now, Morlock.
Mate, it could. You look at his history. You'd put money on him jumping shit. Like if you look at his history, right? Ooh. So. But I think there is a slight difference. People say he never stays at one club for long. But, it's a bit different when you get to the Premier League. Do you know what I'm saying? It's one thing jumping from QPR to Leicester Or I think when he was at QPR, he wanted West Brom and Watford. I think
Yeah.
I don't know what the teams were. There's one thing jumping from a championship to a championship, but like if we get promoted, if Marty's successful, it means we've been promoted.
Yes. Yeah.
He's in the Premier League. He would have seen what happened with Enzo. If you take the pep out of Enzo, I don't think he gets that Chelsea job, even though he got us promoted and he was successful. The pep thing, of course, made him more attractive. Marty doesn't have that. Yes, he plays a similar way, and he's from from the Barcelona region, but he's not worked under Pep. So I don't think he would get a big job like that. And by the way, it's like once in a decade, maybe even longer thing. I don't even know if it's ever happened. A promoted team goes to a big six club. I don't think that's ever happened.
No.
It won't happen again. If somebody did want to come in for him, maybe a Brentford or a Brighton or someone like that. And I don't think he would jump ship for that. So, yeah.
No, I think if we can get up again and get established, they are no necessarily better than us, But anyway, the next one, Sky Sports reporter Rob Dorset reveals the number of points. They all look happy sat there, don't they? Reveals the number of points he expects Leicester City to have deducted from them this season.
You should have used the photo from the Liverpool game, Chris, where they were laughing and smiling.
Oh, I did. I put that up at the time, and because I said, I think I put a comment up saying, what was so funny, or something like that, and I got roasted a little bit by the fans for that. I didn't really understand that, but no, I mean, it looks like it's going to be 9 points. I'm at the point now, and I don't know if you're there or not, where I'm thinking, for God's sake, just take it, take the 9 points, and I think you said the other day to me that, let's say Ipswich, I think they've got Birmingham in the first game and then Sheffield United. So they lose those two and we win our first two. We're only 3 points behind them. But, we're going to get caught at some point. Just say now, let's just take it when we've got the youngsters coming through. And, if we don't go up straight away, it gives them 2 seasons to sort of bed in. But are you at the same feeling where it's just a case of, just accept it now and let's move on?
Yeah, look, I'm sick and tired of the kicking the can down the road. Of course, last year it kind of paid off because they got away on that loophole, but we know that loophole's now closed. I mean, did I see you had Kieran Maguire on recently? What did
I
he have
had him on yesterday morning, yes.
What did he say?
Well, we were talking about, we didn't really talk about the points deduction. We were talking more about the difference in the price of failure, which we get a hell of a lot more for getting relegated from the Premier League than we ever got for winning the Championship. So it was more along those lines. Although we did touch on it, and he thought it was the 9 points as well. Okay. And he said the same. He said, as a fan, I mean, he was agreed with me. He's fallen out of love with football a bit, and I think we all of an older generation are starting to do that. But if it's 9 points and maybe we've got a transfer embargo, I don't think the transfer embargo would hurt us that much because of the youth coming through. But I'm just fed up with it. Every bloody season, it's, we might get a points deduction. We might get a point. Let's balance the books because it's over a 3-year period, although there is possibly a new PSR type thing coming in. I just want it over with, Logs.
Yeah, look, 9 points. I mean, yeah, it rules out in my eyes. It rules out top 2. I think anything over 5. I think if we had 5 or less, I think we would get away with that. I think we could go up in top 2. I think 9 points would write off top 2. But 9 points does not stop you getting playoffs. We should accumulate, more than enough points to finish in the playoffs this season. So if it is 9, then that'll be, that's not the worst of scenarios. Maybe you can get that even reduced down to a 6 or 7 because we've seen it happen before. That would be good. Although I don't think we've really got much mitigation in our favour. I don't think we've cooperated.
That's what I'm thinking. If we now go around and say, look, let's sort this out, EFL. Let's just, maybe then they'll say, yeah, look, they're willing to talk now.
And I would agree with you guys on the embargo situation. I would argue I would argue that it's a good thing, an embargo, because it means we're not buying any dross. However, we desperately need a striker. We need a striker.
Yeah.
So I think transfer embargo actually would be quite a bad thing on this occasion. We need a new striker. We're going to lose players here or there, however many it is, I don't know. But I think a striker is quite we're quite desperate for that at the moment. If we had a striker, if we had another number 9, let's just say we even still had Jamie Vardy.
Yeah.
I would probably agree with you that an embargo really isn't too bad. But I think with that desperate for one, I think it is. I think it would be, pretty poor. But again, the transfer window's open, Chris. I would have thought we'd have heard by now if there was a transfer embargo. Because what stops Leicester City signing someone tomorrow if there's no embargo in place?
Yeah.
And if they do expect an embargo, then why aren't they signing any players right now? If they're not going to be able to in a week's time, do you know what I mean? So,
well, I think they wouldn't do it now because I think they'd obviously want Marty Cifuentes to have some sort of input about what what sort of player he wants, etc., etc. But I do find it very disappointing that you are, just wiping aside Patson Daka and Jordan Ayew like that.
Mate, the more I see, I keep seeing people springing this up, saying Jordan Ayew, he'll be able to do it. No, I don't want that. I don't want to see that man leading the line for Leicester ever. I wouldn't care if we were in League One. Please don't do that. Bobby Reid, Jordan Ayew, they are bench players in my eyes for this coming season. If they want to leave and they want to go start somewhere, by all means, off you go. Yeah. But if they want to stay at Leicester and pick up the dough, you need to go on the bench, mate, because we've got more exciting younger players who need to be prioritised. So if we start against Sheffield Wednesday with Jordan Ayew up front, man, I don't know.
The only reason that I would quite like that, because I do think he has got the capability with the youngsters coming up behind him to hold that ball up and, maybe go down, get a free kick or whatever. However, I would prefer a new striker to come in and Ayew be in the backup and can come on for the last 15, 20 minutes and do that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we saw Jordan Ayew make an impact off the bench last season, so I'm not writing him off. I'm not saying that he's not going to be any good. But, this is meant to be a restart, Chris. This is meant to be, the year Jamie Vardy leaves the football club. We're moving on from the past. And Didi, who's been a long servant's probably going to go. We've got all these youngsters. And you want to start Jordan Ayew in this restart of a season? No.
No, I agree with you, but it was just a case of, if you had a transfer embargo and we had to use what was left, I just don't fancy Patson Daka because he isn't going to do it at this level because we've seen him at this level and he didn't do it. So anyway, hey, did you see there's a new director of football at Leicester?
Yes, I did.
I love this. People were just taking it so seriously, I mean, somebody said, bloody hell, Chris, you've started clickbaiting now, what have you? But when I first saw this, I must admit, I did get a little semi. I'm not going to lie. I looked at this and thought, really? And then you look into it, and of course, it's the director of women's and girls football. I don't want to sort of spend too long on John Rudkin because I think nobody wants him there apart from Top. And I know it's Top's club, so he can do what the bloody hell he wants. But that's where the biggest change needs to come, isn't it?
It's pathetic, to be honest, Chris. It's pathetic that it's not happened. Mistake after mistake after mistake. This guy wasn't even qualified to become a director of football in the first place. He looked after the kids, and I think if you go back even further, he used to make the beds in the academy. That was what he started as, a volunteer doing stuff. Now, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing that a local man from Leicestershire started volunteering and worked his way up. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's a very good thing. It's a positive thing. but in a role as important as a director of football, you have to be football savvy, you have to be qualified, and John Rudkin is none of those things. Now, I saw an article from 10 years ago where the previous director of football was sacked. Terry Robinson, right? Was that his name? Something like that?
I've got to be honest with you, I don't know. But back in the day, you hardly ever heard about the director of football.
Yeah, it was, let me just double check. Terry Robinson, director of football. He was sacked a few months into the Great Escape season because they got some recruitment wrong. Do you hear that? Made a mistake, made a few mistakes, sacked the director of football, appointed John Rudkin. 4 years of mistakes of John Rudkin and not a peep. So, yes, it's quite obvious now it's down to his close ties with Top. Top probably considers him a friend. He's been probably a big support network for Top. But this guy, he needs to go. I don't know. Why is Top the only man in the world that doesn't see this to be the case? And this is why, mate, this is exactly why now Top is getting so much stick and criticism. If you remember, it was always Rudkin. No one even said a word about Top two years ago. And the longer it goes on, the man in charge keeps everything the same and doesn't make any changes. Well, then that's when you've got to look at the guy in charge and start pointing fingers at him. And it's his fault now at the end of the day. Yeah,
definitely. What do you feel about signing ex-Forest players? I mean, Wes Morgan was okay, wasn't he? But we've been linked with this guy. And I've just realised I've forgotten his name.
Harry Toffolo.
Thank you. That was it. Yes. Thank you very much. Glad one of us knows what he's talking.
Yeah, I mean, he's a free, right? Free agent. I don't know. I mean, I'm just looking at here. He's how old is he? 29 years old. Probably either in his peak or coming towards the end of it. I don't really see the point. As Frankie said in the chat, mate, to be honest with you, we've got Bade Aluko, the youngster coming through. We've got JJ, who I think will stay. We've got Ricardo on the other side. As it stands, we have Christiansen and we've got Luke Thomas. I think Luke Thomas will stay regardless. I think Victor might leave, but I think we've got more than enough at fullback, to be honest with you. I think there's enough there. I don't think that should be the target. I think we probably need another defender, maybe. We got Woyo as well. Now, we definitely don't need this guy. I forgot about Woyo. We don't need this guy. Just save your wages, save your money. Yeah. Don't go buying ex-Forest players. There's no point. Stick with what you've got.
Yeah, no, I agree with that as well. Apparently, somebody pointed out the other day, not sure who it was, but apparently Cifuentes doesn't buy anybody over 25.
Yeah, I mean, we looked into it. He I mean, very limited, not many at all that are over 25. Yeah, I mean, he's a big advocate of the youth. That's probably a big part why he's got the job. So that's a positive thing for certain people, like Manny, for example. Manny will be loving that there's not going to be any 25. I think there will be. I think we will, because of the situation we're in, because we're not able to spend loads of money. I think we probably will pick up one or two people over the age of 25. But as long as the focus is the younger players, that's all we really care about, to be honest with you. So Harry Toffolo is 29. Again, we don't need the fullback. So we just,
I mean, I agree. It's a case of, I don't mind over 25. It's over 30 and a 3-year contract that it kind of makes me shudder a hell of a lot. But let's have a look, like you say, at areas we need. And there's, left back is not an area we're particularly short on. You could argue right back, but who knows? Now, this guy, twice promoted star on City's radar. Preston have joined in. This is for, oh my God, my memory's getting awful and I'm reading here. Max Lowe.
I mean, should we just like snip the last 2 minutes and replay it now? Maybe. Yeah. A left back who isn't any better than what we've already got. He's walking away on a free from Sheffield Wednesday. There's no point. What are they doing? Look at the strikers. Don't worry about the back line. unless you lose an unhealthy number of players, unless you lose JJ, unless you lose Victor and Luke Thomas and Woyo, don't worry about it, guys. You don't need Max Lowe. There is no point whatsoever of signing this guy, man.
And I mean, never ceases to amaze me how many players we get linked with, even when there's a possibility of a transfer embargo. We're still being linked. Talking of the back line, I believe that we do need one experienced centre back there. You know where this is going, don't you? Now, are you a Coady, a Vestergaard, or the bungling Belgium? Which one of those camps do you put your feet in?
Is there another option, or is that
not at the moment? Although I have to say that, in fairness, we do of course forget Harry Suter, who I think's been treated pretty badly. I think he would be a good player for Leicester if he's given the chance. He just hasn't been given the chance. We've got
I was going to say the only centre back who was at the club this season that I would want in the back line is Caleb Okoli. That's the only one.
Yeah.
I don't want Faz. He's a clown. He's the biggest of clowns. He's an arrogant, horrible. I won't say what I was going to say. Yannick Vestergaard, falling out with every manager nearly, goes on strike. Get rid. It's time to say goodbye. Finally, Coady. I mean,
don't you dare say that he would be your choice.
over Fast and Vestergaard, I would go Coady. Fast, Vestergaard, and Coady, I would go Coady. Who are you having over Coady?
I would have Vestergaard. Yes,
the man who is falling out with 3 out of 4 managers and spent 2 seasons ago out of the squad playing golf, probably, and spent the last 6 months of this season playing golf, probably.
We did beat Vestergaard 9-0. Okay, I mean, we can't keep going on, Michael. And I know Michael is a Wout Faes fan, but we can't keep going on.
Fan.
Yes, if you look at it. Yeah, look, it goes up. Look, there you go. Wout Faes. I know. It's a good job I like him, otherwise I'd have kicked him out. But I know. Rub your eyes.
I understand favouring Fass over others, but if you want Fass, if you think he's good, well.
Look, all I will say is, Coady wants to go so he can fuck off. Basically, you just said he says there, I hate Wout Faes. You've just said, mate, that you was the one you'd keep. But I cannot. I look back at the last time we were in this league, and Vestergaard did okay. And if a player, and I know he was in that team that lost 9-0, so were 10 other players. Well, 9 after the 10 minutes. But, it wasn't the fact that we were just playing Vestergaard. You know what I mean? Let's be honest here, guys. You can't keep going on about one player. And I know we signed, 2 of them. But what Enzo got out of him, and a new manager comes in and sees something different. And when a player falls out with a manager, it's not 100% the player's fault. The manager has to take.
Chris.
So when Pearson fell out with Albrighton, was that totally Mark Albrighton's fault?
There's one difference, Chris.
There we go.
One manager fell out with Mark Albrighton. 3 or 4 have fallen out with Yannick Vestergaard. It's like the kid at school, Chris, who gets bullied by everybody at every school he goes to. Well, when there's going to be a problem at some point. Maybe the child's annoying, right? So my point is that Yannick Vestergaard, he fell out with Brendan Rodgers, even though Brendan brought him to the club. He fell out with Dean Smith. I don't think played him. He fell out with Steve Cooper. And he fell out with Ruud van Nistelrooy. I mean,
but he didn't fall out with Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Who fell out? How many players fell out with Brendan Rodgers like that to that degree? right?
Brendan Rodgers
Steve
brought
Cooper,
him in and never played him.
yes. Well, he did play him, and he was dog poo. He was absolute dog poo in
He
the Premier
didn't play
League.
to his look. We're not going to go down the Vestergaard. I mean, I can see if you went on experience on Coady, but I just don't like Cody's attitude.
In what
If
way, though? In what way?
he wants
By the way,
out,
I don't like Coady. I don't
no,
like Coady,
no,
but I would say when Cody's on the pitch, he's fully committed. He doesn't. I don't think he causes problems in the dressing room. Right? He's not this leader that everybody says, but I don't think he causes issues. Whereas on the flip side, you've got a man who's both terrible on the pitch and he causes issues. We know he causes issues.
was Vestergaard terrible last time we were in the Championship?
No, but he was in the Premier League.
Yeah,
He
I
was.
agree. I agree. Don't get me wrong. And I'm saying, look, if we had another option, then I'd want Vestergaard out as well. I'm like you. I'm just going for out of those three. And when you look at this level, I just think he's the best of the three options. Like I say, if Harry Suter was fit, I would say keep Harry Suter. You know, but look,
we didn't see enough of Coady either in the Championship. Enzo preferred Vestergaard.
Well, he got
because
injured,
Vestergaard,
didn't he?
Yeah, in pre-season, and Vestergaard obviously is probably better with his feet. In fact, he is definitely better than his feet with Conor Coady, which might mean that Marty prefers his profile more than Coady, right? But the facts are the facts at this point, Chris. 3 different managers he's had a barmy with. He is the problem. It's not the manager. Yes, maybe the managers do things wrong and they fall out with players. We saw Rude fell out with Facundo, sorry. But 3 different managers, and it's 3 different types of managers, have all fallen out with one man who then goes missing from the squad and doesn't play for months. That's the player. That is the player's fault.
Are you hating on dogs here?
Actually, I'm loving dog. I'm saying he can stop playing football and look after the dogs more. That's what I'm saying.
Look, what I love. Look, you know, we all have different opinions, and let's be honest with you. If we all had our way, we'd get rid of all 3, wouldn't we? But you're definitely spot on. You're definitely spot on about a Coady. Henry Cartwright has gone up to Falkirk in a season-long loan. Do you think it's? I mean, with all these youngsters that we're seeing coming through and have been playing in the pre-season friendlies, do you not think it's time that they should be getting the starts now, or do you think another season away for more than just Henry Cartwright? Somebody was saying the other day about Alvis having another season out on loan.
Well, you do get late developers. Kieran Dewsbury Hall, I think, was on loan at Luton at 21, right? Which is what's Alves now? Is Alves 19 or 20 now? So
20,
So Dewsbury Hall was out on loan at Luton, like 21, I think it was, and 20 or 21. So they're not all Jerry Mongers who make their Premier League debuts at 16 and are entrusted by fans to play 46 games in the Championship. I'm not saying that's what will happen, and I'm not saying that's what should happen. By the way, in response to this, would you rather Vestergaard or Robert Huth then, people? You'd rather Robert Huth, even though Vestergaard is better with his feet. So, but no, so Alves, I think, there's no doubt, mate, him and Braybrook, their development has been halted by the ACL injuries that they had. It's unfortunate. It's sad. I'm not convinced by Alves, personally, from what I've seen, that he is going to be he's going to be a Leicester player, in the long term. I wouldn't be surprised if he did leave in the next, couple of years and goes elsewhere. I just think there's too much talent in those attacking areas coming through, Chris, that he's going to struggle to stand out. I mean, you've got a 16-year-old who is literally the best player in the opening preseason friendlies, a 16-year-old who played 5 or 6 times off the bench in the Premier League at 15.
Yeah.
And those are the types of players that I think we want to keep around, the really young ones, because you want to look after them. Do you want Monga going on loan to League One, getting the shit kicked out of him, week after week? You don't want that. You want to have him in a bubble. You want to make sure he's developing in the right ways. Physically as well with the gym and all of that. You want to make sure he's doing the right things. The slightly older ones are the ones where you actually then might consider sending them out on loan. So I would give Alves another loan. I would in the Championship and see how he does. He did 6 months at Cardiff. I keep seeing people say Cardiff fans raved about him. I don't think they did. I think it was pretty split. Some of them were really frustrated by him, that he kind of did a lot of step overs rather than getting the ball in the box and having a pop on goal. But that would be my shout. I would send both Braybrook and Alves out on loan and one more time and see how they get on, to be honest. Because Braybrook went on loan to Dundee and barely kicked a ball.
Well, again, he got injured, didn't he? So
okay, yeah, fair enough. I didn't know.
Yeah,
that. I didn't know
that said, he was out for a lot of the season. That said, that's down to the loans manager. Should be looking and going, this guy isn't getting get a game time here. We'll pull him back and we'll send him somewhere else. But look, let's talk about your love child here. Now, I'm not saying that he is your love child at all. All I'm saying is, sorry, mate. Apparently, he asked not to go to Austria so that he could get his Glasgow move sorted, and we didn't let him. We said, "No, you're coming to Austria." When a player is that, sorry,
that was a mistake. You let him stay and get his move, man. What are we messing around for?
Yeah. Well, exactly.
I'm in agreement. Exactly. I'm in agreement. Let him go. I don't want him here. I don't want Fass here. I don't want Vestergaard here. I don't want Coady here. Why have you taken him to Austria when he's in the middle of a move to? It makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. Unless Marty does want to look at him, which would make sense.
Well, I guess Marty would want to look at. He's only had a day before they went to Austria, obviously. So, he must want to look at all the players. But when the player, even if you're a new manager, what was it Enzo said when he came in? If you don't want to be here, fuck off, basically. And it's the same with this guy. He's made it clear he wants to leave. And I think what annoys me about this club is, look, we've got a 9 million release clause for Ndidi, and we'll come on to Ndidi in a moment. And then the club comes along and says, I want to give you 7 million because we can't really afford his wages. This club would go, no, mate, no, we want 9. We want 9. And then we're stuck with him for another season. Now, all right, he's not the worst player. Why? Surely somebody's got to be looking and going, yeah, look at that money we're getting off the wage bill. That's going to help us. And it's the same with this Muppet, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, to be fair, when the rumours first started about Rangers, there were people, journalists, saying it was going to be a cut price deal. So, I mean, what did we sign him for? 8? I want to say 8 million it was, something like that.
It was a joint one with Winks, wasn't it? So I don't know if anybody's actually 100% clear. Yeah,
I think it was in and around 8. But, you need to cut your losses. He's been at the club for 2 years now, which means, was his deal 4 years or 3 years, do we know? 3-year deal, 4-year deal?
I think it was 3, because this is he's in the last 12 months of his career, of his contract. So I'm guessing it was a 3-year, one in the Championship, he was injured, one in the Premier League, and now this year.
So 8 divided by 3 is what? 3, 6...
2 point something or another.
So that's what his book value will be, Chris, for PSR. So if we sold him for 4 million now, it's a profit against PSR. Yeah. Because the book value is obviously the transfer value divided by the length of the contract, right? And how long he's into his contract. So Skip, for example, is a fifth of the way through his contract. So he's a fifth of the price cheaper on his book value. So it's the same with Coady. So if we can sell him for 3 or 4 million, you've made a profit on PSR. You're not taking a hit, which is why it's so difficult for Skip. You get Manny who says, sell him for 10. Well, no, because then you're going to take a hit on PSR. You need to wait until his value, unless you can make your money back.
Yeah.
So with Coady, selling him for a cut price of 3 or 4 million, half of what we bought him for, that is going to be fine for PSR reasons. So I agree with you. Get him gone. Luke Thomas, we rejected 5 million for him in January. Why? Why did we do that? Casey McAteer, I know people like him. I know he's homegrown. 10 million quid. Do you think we're ever going to get an offer of 10 million quid for Casey McAteer again? I don't think we will. Should have sold him then. People would disagree. I know that's fine. It's just my opinion. So Conor Coady, 3 or 4 million. Take the deal. Let him go up Rangers. Unless they're the ones stalling. Unless Rangers are the ones stalling.
I can imagine they're looking at his wages, and let's be honest with you, Coady probably thinks he's worth more than he's on. So that I don't know how Rangers could probably afford that. We might end up paying half of his bloody wages or something, you can bet. Another centre back that's in the news. I cannot believe this, that we're ready to sell Caleb Coady. Again, you know, when I've seen him, I mean, in the first game he played, which was a pre-season under Steve Cooper, he scored an own goal with virtually his first touch. And I kind of did that Southampton 9-0 thing, thinking like, for God's sake, what the hell have we signed here? And it was just unfortunate. But he's looked really, really good when he's come on. You know, he scored the goal, celebrating there, as you can see. And there's been rumours about this guy for a while. We've got to keep hold of him, haven't we, Lox?
Other than Ben Nelson, he's the best centre-back at the club. Yeah, I think him and Nelson are our best two, in my opinion, that we should be keeping. But the thing that doesn't surprise me, Chris, is he's a 24-year-old defender who's on the verge of the Italian squad. He is one of our only sellable assets. He has more value than Coady, Vestergaard, Wout Fass, along with Hermanson and Bilal, and maybe Fatawu, but he's been injured. He's probably one of the most sellable assets at the club, you know, still quite young. Like I said, on the verge of the Italy squad. So because of that, the club might cash in, which is frustrating. If they can make a profit of any kind, then they might be tempted to do it, to be honest, Chris. Just for PSR. I don't think they should. I think this guy's a shoo-in for 46 games next season, injury aside. And back to the Premier League in the near future, hopefully. So, this is the thing though, Chris, isn't it? It's the dead wood you struggle to get rid of when you get relegated. The good players are the easy ones. It's the crap ones that are hard.
You're not referring to Bobby Dakova Reed by any small chance, are you?
No comment.
All right, another one that's been linked with a move away. Got a 9 million, allegedly a 9 million buyout clause in his contract. Mr. Ndidi. Borussia Dortmund now apparently the latest ones, and his agent is kind of saying he fancies Germany rather than another Premier League club. Again, look, don't mess about. If he wants to go, and I'm not saying he wants to go, but he's sellable. He's not been the same since he had the injury. You know, he's not the player we bought. And I know kind of Enzo got a tune out of him by moving him around, but I wouldn't be sorry if we sold him.
I think it's time, to be honest. He's been at the club for a long time. You know, he signed a deal last summer, and him or his agent would have insisted on a release clause, a relegation release clause of 9 million. That would suggest that he's not willing to stick around again in the Championship. So if that is the case, then off you pop. Off you go. Thanks for your service. FA Cup winner, 5th place, finished twice, Championship winner, Community Shield winner, European semi-finalist, but it's time to go. 9 million quid. Again, we talk about book value. It is £9 million profit against PSR because he's been here that long. So that's a good way to help you towards PSR. A great player, of course. Defensively, of course, a destroyer. Well, you know, in history for us, a destroyer in midfield, but more recently under Enzo, more of an attacking threat. What Enzo did with him. But I think, again, I'll say again, if he is asked for that release clause, it would suggest he doesn't want another year in the Championship. He's 29 or 28. Maybe he can go and get a couple of years of European football somewhere before he really starts to decline.
Probably his last big move, isn't it?
Exactly. There's talk of Germany, there's talk of England, there's talk of Turkey. But yeah, I think it's time. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Do you think this club is bad at? Look, Sir Alex Ferguson, when he was at Manchester United, he didn't suffer fools gladly. He looked at it and said, right, and I know we couldn't do a rebuild under Brendan because of the impending PSR that was hanging over us, but he knew when to let players go. I mean, how shocked were we all when he let David Beckham go, but he knew that, and how many different squads did he build at Man United? 3, 4, possibly. And that's just something that we are not good at doing. We like to hold on to our players and wring every last ounce of them, almost like pushing them on the pitch in a wheelchair.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with you, mate. I mean, there has been a drop off for Wilf. Wilf is not the player he was 4 years ago under Brendan Rodgers. He's not quite the same player. But everybody, I'm not singling Wilf out there. Everybody dropped off. Everybody. Yeah. They had, that couple of years where they were the 5th best team in England. Literally 5th place team in England. Yeah. They won the FA Cup. He was a big part of that in midfield. When he was injured, we missed him. We struggled. But of recent, especially last season, he wasn't anywhere near the worst of performers for us in the Premier League last year, but he didn't stand out. He wasn't a shining light in my opinion, and he seems like a really nice guy. He seems like an honest. A lot of the players from Nigeria do seem that way. I honestly that's the only thing that comes to mind. I think it's time for him to go. It looked like it was going to happen last season, but he obviously signed another one. I'm assuming nobody offered him the wages Leicester did. That's why he stayed for another year. But obviously now with the Championship, he's going to be on a 30% wage cut. So, for him and his family, get another move, one more move in him, good pay, maybe some good European football. All the best.
Yeah. Like what he's just said, he's been here 9 years. God almighty, where's that 9 years gone?
Did you also know that at the age of 16 or 17, Wilfred Ndidi failed an age test? Did you know this story?
No.
You don't know this story? Wilfred Ndidi was...
Is it a joke or is this serious?
No, it's legit, yeah. Wilfred Ndidi was one of 7 players that were banned from the Under-17 African Cup of Nations because they failed an age test.
Wow.
So I joke in our chat. I joke and say this guy's actually 33. That's why he's dropped off. That's why he's dropped off so quick, because he's 33. But no, the failed age test is legit. It's on the BBC. You can find the article. You can fail an age test. Yeah.
Wow. I could go down that route with small boats, but I'm going to avoid it. I don't want to get political. But look, it's been quiet about Mads Hermansson leaving, although I was watching one of the West Ham fan channels, and they were sort of saying that if they wanted to sign him, that he would be second choice, which I was kind of like, seriously?
To who?
I'm not sure. If you name the goalkeeper, I'd tell you who they think would be.
Areola.
Yes. Areola, yes. Yeah. Now, I was watching it in complete disbelief, to be honest with you, but and I had a West Ham fan come round. He delivered me food the other day, and we always have a bit of a natter about the football when he comes round. He makes his next delivery late, but hey ho. But this guy is being linked with every club under the sun. I did this earlier in the week when Sunderland were getting a head start. Now it's somebody else and whatever. But I was talking to the West Ham guy because they'd been linked with West Ham as well. And what we're saying was, and we're all sat here saying, maybe he's not ready yet. Maybe he needs another year and what have you. But from a Premier League club's point of view, with this get out clause, so they could get him for, what is it, 23 million or something. So do they buy him at that and develop him, or do they wait for us to develop him and then have to pay 40, 50 million for him?
Well, the release clause stuff is still up in the air, isn't it? It's unclear because that European journo, when we were relegated, claimed there was a release clause, but every journalist since has kind of pointed towards there not being a release clause. Like Rob Tanner, for example, said that there was no release clause, or that Leicester don't do release clauses anymore. Tom Colomos today said that Leicester would demand a substantial fee for Bilal, which means that would mean there's no release clause. So I still think it's unclear, Chris, as to whether this release clause actually exists.
Again, look, you read, website A and it says one thing, website B says another, and C says a third thing. The last thing I think I read was that the release clause was if we got relegated. So if we'd stayed up, then there wasn't a release clause, but if we went down, there was a release clause. Look, we'll never know, will we? Until we actually see him signing for somebody else, we're not going to know.
I know sometimes there are also release clauses for release clause for European teams, as in teams in Europe playing in the European competition. So maybe we just don't know the full details, but let's just say if there isn't one, I don't think Leicester should accept anything under 30 million, to be honest. If there is one, well, our hands are tied and we're fucked, basically. Look, I agree with you. I think he was slightly inconsistent, Bilal, I think, which didn't do him any favors. I think if he was consistent, if he had those consistent levels from what we did see of him, I think there would be clubs going all out for him. And as we know with release clauses, there is a bidding war, but not for the transfer fee. It's for the wages. We saw it with Liam Delap, right? 30 million release clause. Chelsea, Man United, all these teams were bidding for him, his wages, and Chelsea won. So something similar would happen. But I'm still not convinced. I reckon I'm like 80% sure he's going to leave, Chris, but I'm not quite there yet because, let's just say Sunderland were the only serious party. I'm not sure he goes. I understand that they're in the Premier League and we're not, but what you've got to think, Chris, is, and I always say this about Bilal, look at Kiernan Dewsbury Hall. He was relegated. Yeah. He was linked with Brighton and a couple other clubs. West Ham, I think, were one of them. He had an incredible season, a level below in the Championship. Lots of goals, lots of assists. And boom, suddenly Chelsea are in for him. He wins the Conference League. He wins the Club World Cup, and he gets to shake Donald Trump's hand. Right? So
I agree, ain't bad.
So my point is that, if he did stay, it might actually be the wiser thing. It depends. If an Arsenal comes in for him, of course, that's a different story. Yeah. But if the peak is Sunderland and Nottingham Forest, I think he could stay.
I mean, Sunderland have only just gone up, and the chances are that they probably will come straight back down again. When you look at the history of the three promoted teams over the last two seasons. So it might be a short-lived career. And let's be honest with you, Bilal, Sunderland's a shit place to live. Come on, you know what I mean? So I know I'm pretty safe to know Sunderland fans watching this at the moment. Look, finally, let's end on this next story. Do you like a nice pink shirt, Lots?
I do.
You do, because these are the rumoured shirts for next season. Now, I must admit, there was a point when I split from my darling wife. I went straight out. It was pretty much around the start of the season. I went straight out and I bought 3 shirts. I bought the home, the away, and the third. Not that I wanted them, but just because I bloody could now. You know what I mean? Because she was always there going, "Oh, they're all blue. Why do you buy them?" I thought, "Sod you, I'm single now. I can go out and buy them all." Obviously, money's tight compared to what it used to be. Forgetting the sponsor for the moment, but I quite like that pink one, but I certainly do like the black one. The blue one, take it or leave it, to be honest with you.
Look, the sponsor is a very, very controversial subject at the moment. And it depends on if you want to get into it. Do you want to get into it? I don't mind.
No, I'm looking at the time, to be honest with you, but we can get into it. But just tell me about the thought about the shirts first of all.
I like them. I think they're really good. I think they're really, really nice kits. Yeah, the pink one I think is a bit bland, to be honest. But the other two, I love the home kit. I love the gold piping on there. Maybe you could have gone. Maybe you could have just sacked the white off potentially on the blue kit. I don't know. But the away kit, that green one is sexy, in my opinion. That's very, very, very nice. So yeah, I'm a fan. I think it's better than last year's choices. That's for sure.
The pink one, Frankie Led said it's a goalkeeper shirt. I don't think it is.
Well, I've got some news for you, Chris.
Go on.
As far as I'm aware, the pink kit, the third kit is pink, but it ain't that.
Well, I've got to say,
another one.
I've seen two pink shirts that are advertised, and I put that one up because that was the one I preferred, because there's like a swirl pattern in it, which actually makes it look quite nice.
The reason people think it's a goalkeeper one is because there's also a photo of another one, a green kit, that has the exact same swirl design as that pink one. So it looks like the pink is a home or an away.
Yeah.
Third. But so as far as I'm aware, there is a pink third kit. It's just not that. Yeah. There's a different one. There's another one. Yeah.
We'll see. Look, let's land on K-Bet. At the end of the day, if they have come in and paid us as the most money. Now, this is only my opinion, and you come in with yours afterwards, but to me, you take the best offer that you can get. I know there was all that thing with BC Game, were they going bust, weren't they going bust? As far as I know, we got the money out of them. They can only sponsor us for a year anyway, because I believe at the end of this season, not a year, at the end of this season, clubs can't have betting on the front of the shirt, which is so typical of not only the Premier League but the EFL as well, of having double standards, because we are playing in the Sky Bet Championship, and I am sure you're going to say as well that Sky are not going to advertise the Ladbrokes and the William Hills and the Paddy Powers between their in the breaks and what have you. Of course they bloody are, because that's they're getting the money. That's what annoys me. But I'll take whoever, and it was the same with BC Game. Apparently they offered the best deal, so you take it.
I agree with in the most part. I think for me the problem with BC Game isn't that it's gambling. I think for me it looks like it is. We now know is an illegitimate company that are dodgy, and K-Bet could be the same. We don't know. We'll find out. People are trying to do research. It could be the same. If it's not the same, I don't see a problem. I really don't. They've offered the most money. What the club need to do is, I think back to the Sunderland documentary. Did you watch the Sunderland documentary?
I didn't. No.
There was a fans forum with the owners, and one of the things that came up was they had a shirt sponsor, and the fans weren't happy. And the owner said, "Look, it is what it is. They have paid the most money. We want our club to be successful." And by doing that, we need as much money as we can get for investment, for FFP, all of this stuff. The reason we've chosen this sponsor is because it puts us in the best position to reinvest into the squad.
Yeah.
And I think that's the exact position that Leicester City need to take. I've seen people today. Now, nobody come at me for saying this. I've seen people this week saying the club should just go back to the sponsor we had years ago, Loros. The charity, right? Local charity, Loros. Now, I understand it. I understand the sentiment behind it, 100%. But you need to remember that we are a professional football club. We have a lot of costs. We need to reinvest into the squad. We need as much money against PSR. The best way, we are making, let's just say it's 15 million quid, Chris. Let's say they could be giving us 15 million pounds for a front of shirt sponsor. That is going to help us. That is going to help us in our efforts. If the argument is about, morals and addiction and all of this, well, King Power's a booze and fag company, for God's sake, technically. The sleeve has been a beer for the last 5 years. There's a beer, alcohol. So this is my point. I think people, if the argument is that we are partnered with a really dodgy company, I understand where people are coming from. If the argument is that it's gambling and people suffer with addiction, I'm sorry, but no, not when there's a beer sponsor on the sleeve.
But do you think? And look, I'm old school. I'm in my 60s. I'm very much sort of a different, obviously, because I'm saying a different generation to all you youngsters now. And the wokeness about everything these days is something that winds me up. Now, just looking at that on the front of a shirt make me want to go out and waste my money on a bet? No, it doesn't. If I've just got a granddaughter, if she grows up, I can buy her a shirt with nothing on because, it's a kiddie shirt. So we haven't got that worry. Like you say, what happens if you were to put like Iron Coop back on? They're a drinks company. Well, what about alcoholics, And let's be honest with you, somebody just said then walkers. Well, I'm afraid obesity is one of the main killers. You see where I'm going? I mean,
but you hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head when you said we are playing in the Sky Bet Championship. There are Sky Bet logos all over the stadium. When you're not in the stadium and you're watching on TV, there are adverts everywhere for gambling. I honestly, I can't for the life of me understand why people are so upset about the gambling aspect of it. I'll say it again. I don't want my club to be partnered with some dodgy website. But if they are a legitimate company and it is just gambling, of course I don't give a shit. Why would I? Because they are giving us the most money. The highest bidder wins, and that's just how it works.
It is indeed. And on that note, agreeing, which we've done a lot of tonight, that is it for the show. Locks, give your channel a shout out, mate. As if anybody doesn't know where you're from.
Well, there's one or two in the chat who don't watch BTG that I've noticed. So, this one's for you, Kevin and Paul. And who else is there? Let's have a look. Kevin, Paul, and...
Don't you be picking on my listeners now. Come on.
There was one more. I can't find it. But anyway, Helen.
There is a link. I should say there is a link anyway, locked in the description below.
Yeah. But no, blue tinted glasses, lots of different stuff. Watch-alongs, panel shows, call-in shows, arguments. Yeah. Talk about toilet habits, all sorts. So, lots of different stuff. So, you can come and check us out. Yeah.
Brilliant, mate. Brilliant. As I say, your link is in the description below. Thanks very much for coming on, mate. Really do appreciate your time. And we'll probably be doing something next week as well. So, take care, buddy. Thanks very much.
Thanks for having me, mate. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thanks very much to Locks there for coming on. Blue tinted glasses. Like I said, the link in the description below. Get over there and check it out. Watch along tomorrow, quite possibly, and then we're back at 12 o'clock on Sunday when we will be looking, diving deep diving. Why am I thinking of Jethro and the Generation Game? Deep Dipes, that was it, or Dykes, whatever it was saying. Sorry, I'm old. I remember these things. Sunday at 12 o'clock, we'll be looking at 12 of the youngsters that should be breaking through this term. And Reese is going to be joining me for that, and we'll be discussing those, and he'll be giving us thought on that. The kickoff is 5:30, I believe, tomorrow, and so probably around 5-ish, we're doing the watch along. Do join us then. Once again, thanks very much to Locks. Thanks to you lot for being in the chat and putting your comments in. And it's so much easier. I hope you agree now that it comes up in the bottom corner. You can see what is being said, and your comments are getting viewed. If you're watching on catch up, talking to comments, add it in the description below. It didn't come up, but I've got to say a big thank you. Let me just see if it's still here. Where's it gone? To a new member we had. It's not coming up here, but we've got a new member, and I apologise because it's not come up. I don't know. Let me just see if I can find it. Oh, I'll find out for the next show. I've got to thank him anyway. $1.99 if you want to become a member a month. Get one or two little bit extras. But for $1.99, cost of half a pint, you support the channel. And if you've been listening via your favourite podcast platform, thank you for lending me your ears. Like, share, subscribe, and do all that stuff. And I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks very much, guys. Take care. Good night now.